somebody.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Just giving it a second here. Let some people filter in. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. And if you can, just do me a favor and obliterate that like button. That's right, guys. Today we're going to be talking about your favorite topic. And before we even get things started here, don't get crazy here. Do not go and buy anything. Do not go and trade anything. I'm trying to explain to you my psychology and my approach to the markets. My goal is to help you navigate this really confusing and at times very overwhelming experience that is navigating cryptocurrency, specifically altcoins. And when there are moments of euphoria, like we're in right now, these bull markets, where things, they don't always make sense, it can be very confusing. It can be very overwhelming. And for that reason, it's important to do as much learning as you can and to try to stay unemotional. Your emotions will, for the most part, do you wrong. Almost every time I've made an emotional decision here in crypto land, I have come to regret it. So today we're going to be talking about the steps I've been using, the lenses I've been using to screen, analyze coins, and of course, then present them to you in a way that makes sense. And the way I do this is probably about 10,000 times more rigorous than my fellow content creators or fellow, Twitter personalities in crypto. I have my own process, right? And that process will lead to me missing trains, right? I'm not going to catch all the trains. I know that, right? I know for a fact that I will not catch all the trains with this method. But my goal is to explain to you how I use a method to focus on long-term value and utility with the goal of ensuring that the trains I get onto actually take off and leave the station. So if that's exciting to you, do me a favor and destroy that like button. And of course, do me a favor, if you guys are in the chat, tell me your favorite coin right now. Fire them off. Let's see some chats rolling. Let's get this community feel going because I want this to be a nice conversational video where we exchange ideas and we grow together. We see Liberia in the chat. Dia, Dead, Ren, King, EWT, Unitrade, DOS, Lean, Lid, XDie, Already Mooned. Where can I buy Kusama? EWT, yes. All right, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar names, and we're going to be talking about a lot of these coins, right? We're going to be talking about a lot of the ones you just mentioned, and a lot of these, yes, there we go. There's the chat firing. Wow, what a beautiful thing. PRQ Swap, DevMoon. Ooh, this is going so fast I can barely even read it. Who asked me how I'm doing? Bitcoin King, thank you. I'm doing well. Nobody ever asks how I'm doing. Anyway, I appreciate you guys all being here. 519 in the house right now. Guys, do me a favor. Let's smash up those likes. Let's talk about the coins in the market right now that are absolutely going haywire. Try to get a sense about the narratives behind them and how you guys can start unearthing these gems and get there early. Because I know my first altcoin season, it felt like I was at the whim of all of these Twitter personalities, of all of these influencers, and by the time I would find out about something, I would wait until I heard about it from so many different sources. But the reality is that is not exactly the way you want to be navigating, because it's kind of like once you've heard about it from too many places, it's not that it's dead, right? Like coins go on and on and on and on, like Bitcoin, right? However, the opportunity in an altcoin season like this, in my opinion, is in finding those fresh little babies and riding with them and growing with them. And that's really the ultimate opportunity, is to get in before they have their big explosion and before the whole world sees their value. And that's a little bit trickier because in order to do that analysis, you're kind of out in your own area, right? Like for example, with PRQ, the coin we talked about a couple of days ago, that coin, I talked to some other influencers and they genuinely didn't see the value in it that I did. But we also come at things from a different perspective. I'm a developer and we've had the problems that PRQ is solving, and the way they're solving it is just amazing for us, in our opinion, right? And so that's when I found this coin, I thought the world of it, right? So everyone's going to have their own lens, and my experience informs my lens. However, we're going to be talking about some of the pervasive narratives in this space and helping you. Do I get paid overtime to say right? I'm not sure what that means. Please stop spamming that though. All right. Wow, so many coins, so little time. Let's just dive in right now. Let's dive into this and we'll get to the meat of this presentation. So, window. All right. So cool. So this was a tweet that came out just a couple of hours ago, I feel like. I retweeted it. Guys, if you're not following me on Twitter as well, I highly encourage it, highly recommend it. 5-star experience. This is from Aaron Wright, who is a developer, professor at Cardozo Law, co-founder at OpenLaw. And so what OpenLaw is essentially trying to bridge smart contracts with real legal backing so that you can actually have the weight of the real legal system behind your smart contracts. And what OpenLaw did was they essentially integrated into MS Word, pulling data from Link and saving info into MS Excel. So they're taking Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel and they're bringing them into the world of smart contracts, the two arguably biggest business applications, or functionality or what's it called, productivity applications in the world, Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. Now they're being set up with smart contract functionality that connects through Chainlink. And they're doing this through OpenLaw. So this was an interesting piece of news. And again, it shows you that these narratives that we're seeing that are springing up in DeFi land, in crypto land, and altcoin land, and of course, one of the biggest narratives of them all, which is the Chainlink decentralized Oracle narrative, or essentially the blockchain data narrative. How do we get data in and out of the blockchain? Obviously, oracles in the real world, that's a big business. That's a big industry. There's no question about that. We're talking about decentralized oracles and essentially how data flows between these value islands where, Ethereum and Bitcoin were never built to work together. And there's a lot of, work that's been done insofar as interoperability is concerned. And that, of course, brings us to another narrative, which we'll talk about, which is Polkadot. But this to me was absolutely mind-blowing, and it just shows you that now Link is technically available to 1 billion Office users globally. This is the kind of on-ramping and mass adoption we like to see. Does that mean that any of these people are going to use smart contracts? No, there's a lot of education that needs to take place there. But I think it's pretty important to realize that the power of these narratives is much larger than you want to give them credit for. And that's why understanding, like I did in that video before, understanding cycles, narratives, and comparison points is so critical. The Chainlink narrative, the further that goes, the further Chainlink goes in essentially bringing this concept of a decentralized oracle as one of the most valuable applications of blockchain technology or within blockchain technology, the more that opens the door for other decentralized oracles. And a lot of you probably know this, but you need to really embed this into the way that you review the market, which is, if I'm looking at Chainlink now at a whopping $6 billion valuation and seeing all the amazing work that they're doing, the nonstop partnerships, and essentially how data, if you think about it, can really be integrated into any decentralized application, the need for data is almost universal. You can see why things like Band have swelled so much in value. You can see why Band is now at 267 million. It was, if we bring out the market caps here, you can see why Band was, where did it peak out here? Believe it was up at, 350, 340 or something like that. 350, yeah. So 350 million. But again, you see that Band is still 1/20th the size of Chainlink. It's a baby compared to Chainlink, right? And this is the next biggest kid on the block, as I like to call it, just for ease sake, the Pepsi to Chainlink's Coca-Cola. But you see here this thirst for data, the thirst for applications or blockchain applications that can really be universal applications that actually are required for functions across the blockchain ecosystem. That is a narrative, right, that people all now understand. We do not know how much money will be flowing through Chainlink in 10 years. We don't know. But what we do know is how much data is worth and how much blockchain has been explosive in the way that it grows storage of value, the way that it deals with digital value. And so when understanding these narratives, you can start to understand why Band has done so much growth and why, in my opinion, it'll continue to grow because it's a great product. But even more so, we see Teller, which is a much more decentralized version of these oracles at the moment. It's already done some great growth here at 64 million. Dia, we'll talk about in 1 second. I'm actually going to move this tab. You also have DOS, of course, the Chinese version of this. That was, I think it was only like a $2.5 million market cap when we first covered it. Now at 32 million. So that was an absolutely phenomenal. What is that? A 12, 13x. And then Parsic, of course, which is, my favorite new oracle. Of course, when we talked about it, it was just $7 million in market cap a couple of days ago. And I think it peaked out. What was its peak? I think it peaked out here at, 40 million or something. It took it all the way into the top 200. So, it's my pleasure to bring these types of products to your attention where I'm like, hey, I see the value in this product. They're fitting into this amazing narrative, and nobody knows about this thing yet. Usually coins under 10 million market cap, they haven't popped off yet. 5 million, they haven't popped off yet. In this market, the way to really see where something is actually booming, you really want to say that, okay, they're at the probably like 30, $40 million mark. That's when you're like, okay, the world's kind of started to woken up to this value prop. Parsic, I also think, just has some really interesting things that they've done that, yes, other people can go ahead and add them. But the reality is that they have a huge head start and that there's, I believe that they'll be a great player in this game. And so it's really exciting to see the work that they did. But then there's Dia, right? Which I love Dia. I think they're amazing, Dia. But, they had this thing yesterday, which really kind of was unfortunate, where, let me go ahead and get out their market cap. Essentially, they had this yesterday, where, as far as I understood it, Dia was a $25 million market cap coin. But then they had a whole bunch of supply hit the market here. As you can see, the supply jumped from 26 million here on CoinGecko up to $93 million. $93 million, right? And then I went into the telegrams. I was tweeting about it. So I was trying to figure out what the heck happened here because I love Dia at 25 million. I'm waiting because I think they're going to grow a lot. But once it's up here at $90 million, it's still a good coin. I'm still holding big bags, right? And they corrected it down. It's now at about, 76 million. Okay. Someone's getting the ban. Cool. All right. So the thing about Dia at 76 million is it's a great project, but it's also, in my opinion, now it's like, all right, they're like a little early for 26, not early for 26 million, but Band is way further along. They're listed on Binance, they're listed on Coinbase, they have amazing partnerships, they have working product. And so I think Dia will get there. They just announced a partnership today. They also just did a transparency report today. But again, so for me, I'm looking to, once I see an altcoin pop up to this level, I'm looking to take some profits and move into some other smaller coins, because the real opportunity here is that 10x from 7 million to 70 million, that 10x from 5 million to 50 million. And then you'll see growth after that. Again, look at Mantra DAO, which we'll talk about in a bit. There is growth after that. Of course, you can do another 10x from there, but the second 10x, which essentially is the 100x, that's much slower than the first 10x, always. And so you can have dynamic movements, but just understand when something has already pumped. That's a big part of identifying good coins. And so just because you're in a coin that pumped doesn't mean you won't have upside. But if you want to have the kind of gains that you're hearing about other people talk about, it's because they're not waiting for people to tell them about coins. They're finding them. And so I want to try to teach you guys how to find these coins, teach you how to identify coins with potential before you have to hear it from me. Of course, I want you to hear it from me too, but at the same time, if you really want to get ahead, you need to be going out on your own and going into the unknown. Because if you're not going into the unknown and you're not doing your own research, then you're probably going to get there late. You're probably going to arrive at the party late, especially if you guys haven't figured it out. This market is moving insanely fast, probably the fastest moving market I've ever seen in crypto. So me equipping you with some skills to get ahead, well, who knows? Maybe that one token, maybe if you spend 4 weeks and you only find one token that you think you're ahead on, if you're right, that could be life-changing, right? That could be a significant improvement to your situation. Whereas if you're always chasing something after a pump, then you're hoping that you got there kind of early, but you know you missed the big part of it. And so I don't have anything against Dia. I think it's going to be a great project. I think it's going to keep holding its value, but I lightened my bags a little bit because I want to make some room for some younger projects that I think will move a little faster. So I love Dia. I loved it, especially at, what was it? I would think it was like a $3-4 million market cap when I found it. And was blessed to see the pop up to the 30 million range. And now that they essentially just injected a bunch of new supply, I'm lightening a little bit the bag. So I wanted to do that follow up on Dia. I know a lot of people will essentially say, and I've heard this from a lot of other people who follow the channel, they always hear when to buy, and influencers always tell you when to buy, but they never tell you when to sell. And so it's very unpopular for me to do, right? It's easier for me to not tell you when to sell and just to say, hey, we're just going to tell you this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome. But I'm going to do the hard work, and I actually tell you guys when I change my mind on projects. Some people, they talk a lot of poop about that, right? But I told you that when I changed my mind on Ample. I told you that, and people then still skewer me about that, even though I said, hey guys, on this dip, and I'll show you where it happened because I have the video. You guys can go watch the videos when it happened. Look, Ampleforth had this this dip here when it first came down off of its parabolic run, and it first dipped down to about 66 cents. I knew it was going to bounce back up above $1. And so as hard as it was, I was like, guys, this crash is horrible, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy huge here. And I think I got this like 65-cent entry or something like that. I put it in the Telegram group. Another reason you guys should be in my Telegram group. And I said, I'm buying big here. And then even on a video, I said, when this thing pumps back up to $1 or above, I'm going to lighten my bags. And that's exactly what I did. I still ended up holding a bunch and getting crippled by this never-ending fall. But you know, the reality is it's not a frozen moment in time alt season. It's a constantly moving wave. It's a bucking bronco, and you have to stay engaged. You have to stay on the forefront of the news, or else you're going to miss the movements of the market. Let me catch up on these super chats. Sorry. Thanks for doing this. Honestly, you have been so helpful during this crazy ride. Can you share a few thoughts on Tomo Chain? You have a few Tomo fans here. I actually really like Tomo Chain. I know Kin and the team over there. I had them on for an interview. We even explored building our game on Tomo Chain. And so I'm a fan of what they're doing, right? I'm not hugely bullish on Southeast Asia just because there's not a lot of money there. However, they've done great with user adoption, and I think they'll continue to grow. And yeah, I'm a big fan of them. I'm not a big holder or a big investor, but I like what they're doing there. And so I hope that answered your question. We also had ETH scaling seems to be the talk of the town in addition to oracles. Have I looked into XDAI? So again, here's where I'll jump a little ahead to answer that question. Thanks again for the super chat. Both you guys, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. You guys rock. So let's just jump over to Stake, right? Because Stake or XDAI, that's a very interesting project, right? And there's nothing more interesting than when Vitalik himself blesses a project, which he never does. I don't think I saw Vitalik bless a project, which is ironic here, because I don't think I've seen him bless a project since Omise Go. And he actually loves Omise Go, or else he used to at least. And so what happened was there was a Twitter back and forth. I'm not going to go find it because it would just take me too long. But essentially somebody said, well, where would you build your chain if you could? And Vitalik responded, XDAI. Stake, he actually had a couple test nets, but he was like, Stake is fully functional, or XDAI. And so this set the internet on fire, and a lot of other influencers covered this. And so I saw Ivan cover it, I saw Chico cover it, and they beat me to it, right? And by the time I actually learned about all this news, you know, this had already happened, right? This right here. And this is a good example, right? So this move had already happened. It was sitting here at about, I don't know, like $8 or something. Maybe when I was really aware of what XDAI was happening. And granted, now with it up at $20, gosh, that $8 price looks really good, right? Looks really good. But the thing is, I have just made a decision not to chase. I made a decision not to chase, and that's just my decision that I made. I want to get into projects before the market explodes with interest. And by getting into projects before the explosion, I know for a fact that I'm not guessing that it's going to go up, even though XDAI Stake seems to be like a slam dunk, whereas its market cap's only It's only 49 million, right? This thing can easily grow to 100 million. It's a good 2x, right? But I know that by getting into projects that I truly believe in, I'm not saying I don't believe in XDAI. I'm just saying it's the same thing with Polkadot. I personally felt like by the time I came around to seeing the value in Polkadot, it was too expensive. And so by buying into something that's that big, even Link, right? I don't put a lot of my money into Link, even though I believe Link's a sure thing and Link's going to continue growing. I personally am playing this market by looking for these undiscovered coins, by looking for new tech that people don't know about, and that's where I can get my 10x growth, because I believe that, while XDAI can keep growing, and it probably will, it's going to be much slower, and it's going to be a little bit based off of factors that are, I'm not going to say it's luck, right? But I'm going to say that I know that when I find a Parsic, that I'm putting my money in something that's going to grow dramatically. Whereas when something's already at 40 something million or higher, it's a little bit less of an explosive growth. Though the reality is XDAI is probably a bad example for this because it's got a ton of potential. And if it becomes the de facto scaling solution, it could go really big. But there's a lot of players in that game. We have Matic in that game. We have Solana in that game. We have Omize Go in that game. There's a lot of second layer activity. And so it's unclear right now who's the winner will be. But XDAI's a great project. But this comes down to my strategy, my approach to altcoins. And it goes again to my lack of emotionality, my ability to control my emotions in getting in and out of these coins. So for me, that's my personal approach, right, is to make sure that I stay unemotional. And by staying unemotional, I can always make sure that I get ahead of the market. And so everyone has their own strategy, but I'm trying to share with you what's going on in my head. I know a lot of people have been messaging me on Telegram, on Twitter, asking me what I do, how I do it. And so I'm trying to convey it to you. Why? One of the things that I found out about Parsic, right? Something about Parsic that I found out, which is going to be a little harder for you guys, is the exact actions that they're doing, these types of actions. We've actually gone through the process of scraping data from blockchains and triggering actions, and we know what that process like. We know what that process is like. And so I've actually, because I'm a developer, I know what this value is, and that's something that I can't quite teach you, right? I can't teach you my years of experience of building products and the headaches that we've experienced, but I can summarize for you some more generic things that you don't have to be an expert to benefit from. And so, with regards to XDAI stake, sure, when it first popped off here at $8, yeah, maybe that's a good entry point. Maybe it was going to come back down to, I guess, I don't know, like 6 or something. I don't know. But for me, after I see something that goes up, 100% in a day, that's usually my cue to wait, because typically things cool off, right? Typically things cool off unless they're really amazing, right? Where, of course, XDAI is another bad example, because then it started getting covered by absolutely everybody and it's just continued to kind of bull upwards. Same with Polkadot, right? Which we'll talk about in a second. But the second narrative, right? So besides the decentralized oracles, we have the yield farming, these protocols where you're farming yields and you're farming these governance tokens. Compound being, of course, the biggest kahuna or maker, I guess, and then Compound. But the reality is that this rapidly created a sea of imitators, and the ones that provide some differentiation, the ones that obviously Aave and Lend, absolutely killing it. But then you'll see these platforms like Yams, which take the concepts going on there and they add some twist to them. And so that's why people are hopping on these protocols. And Yams is obviously a meme coin, but it also is part of a larger narrative. And it's also part of the elastic supply narrative, which Ample set forward. Many thanks for the fantastic and consistent content, Elio. CatX, super interesting Oracle product. Any thoughts? So CatX, I just saw on BitBoy's channel. I love BitBoy. That's my good friend. However, I try to steer clear of doubling up and covering things that people have just covered. And, I haven't looked deeply enough into CatX to give you an honest thought, but usually BitBoy covers some good coins. And so, it's compelling. However, I need to look deeper into it to really give you my more nuanced analysis of what its potential would be. So just finishing this thought, essentially these narratives are extremely powerful. And the big narratives that we've talked about so far are decentralized oracles, data essentially getting in and out of blockchains. Another sort of, it's kind of like the interoperability trend that happened in 2017, but this is actually data. This is really what you need, which is data from outside the chain, which could come in the form of interoperability or just data from the general world. Then we also have the yield farming narrative, where for the first time ever, people are just taking their money and having it become productive. And this is really just sort of the core ethos of DeFi, which is, Compound, Maker, Aave, Lend, Synthetics. These are the sort of blue chips in that world. And if this, DeFi thing goes mainstream, right, which is not guaranteed yet, but if it does continue and go mainstream, these things could have ridiculously high values, ridiculous, right? And so these kinds of base yield farming platforms are really interesting. And that narrative, when you see another hot one in the room that a lot of people are talking about, whether or not its long-term sustainable future is cemented, it is most likely going to pump. And so, that's another narrative, right? And then, of course, we have the Polkadot narrative. The Polkadot narrative is being driven by the Ethereum DeFi narrative. Without the Ethereum DeFi narrative and the Uniswap narrative, there is no Polkadot narrative, right? Because here we have the Uniswap chart. Now, look at this chart. This is one of the most incredible charts I've ever seen. And on the right, we have volume. And on the left, we have liquidity. Look at how much liquidity is being locked up in Uniswap. This is now over $307 million, and every day it's more. Almost every day without, with a couple of fails, a couple of pullbacks here. And look at this volume. Very regularly topping 100 million, easily now topping 200 million on a given day. And this is a complete revolution in our ecosystem. We've talked about decentralized exchanges for years, but never has one taken off like Uniswap. And because of that, there's now a Uniswap narrative with coins like Unitrade, which is now a layer, an order book on top of Uniswap, where we have Unicrypt, which is giving more credibility to Uniswap liquidity pools, where we have Ocean Protocol has already changed my life. I think it's like where all these big data and corporations can monetize 6 trillion. Okay, so Ocean Protocol, thank you, Gerald Brucium. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you for the super chat. Very generous of you, and I appreciate that. Ocean was on my list of August coins that were set to moon, and did it moon. So yeah, I'm happy about Ocean because it was on my 10 coins to 10 million list, and pretty much every one of those coins did at least 100% growth. Been absolutely crazy stuff. But there's a whole Uniswap trend going on. This Uniswap narrative going on is the better way to put it. And inside that Uniswap narrative, you can see smaller coins that provide interesting value propositions and could now gain market traction. And a lot of these coins in the Uniswap narrative are actually quite small. And so this is an interesting part or corner of the market to be checking out. And there's actually one coming out in a little bit that I'm excited to talk about, but it's too far away. It's like a month out. So I'll be excited to tell you guys about that one soon. Maybe it'll be a gem video. But then talking about Polkadot, this is really what's driven off of the Uniswap narrative. Because of the explosion of Uniswap, we now need scalability, because without scalability, like for me, if I'm putting in big trades, right, I'm putting in, 5-figure trades or whatever, I don't care about an $8 fee, right? Because percentage wise, that's not much. However, if I'm putting in a $20 trade and it costs me $8 or $10, well, now you've eaten up 40-50% of my margin, and now I need this thing to go absolutely crazy in order to make my money back. And so for a lot of people, especially the smaller players, the retail players, this whole scalability narrative is critical to bringing on those next wave, because the Uniswap ecosystem, Uniswap narrative is reaching its kind of breaking point. It can't keep going with higher fees. It just cannot. And so that's why Polkadot, is getting absolutely ridiculous as far as its hype. And the chart has been reflecting nothing short of astronomical gains, to the point where, again, going back to my own strategy, when something goes up, 100%, especially something as big as this with a market cap of right now, 5.5 billion, right? And so it had a market cap here of already a couple billion, doubled in value, and then doubled again in value. Absolute beastly moves by Polkadot. But again, as much as I believe in Polkadot, the actual dollar amounts flowing through Polkadot, the actual value right now today, I'm not the type of investor to chase. And right now I feel like I'm chasing Polkadot. So much better than chasing Polkadot for me is understanding how the Polkadot ecosystem works. And this, again, this best investment you guys can make is in your own knowledge and your own understanding. Because if you understand Polkadot, you actually understand that there are many chains within Polkadot and that it's an ecosystem and that value is not going to be distributed equally throughout the ecosystem. Try to say that 5 times fast. The reality is that this is a big ecosystem and that the smaller chains, the smaller projects in this ecosystem, that's the opportunity that I think you guys should be focusing on. Should DOT keep growing? Could this be something that's $100 DOT in the future, $100 billion project? Could this be, the biggest coin ever in history, even catch up to Bitcoin? These are all things that you could make a case for and theorize around, but that's not how I'm basing my investment strategy, not in literally late Q3 of 2020. I don't believe that that's how you should be doing it. Again, not investment advice. That's just how I'm doing things. And from what I can tell, you guys like how I'm doing things. So then this brings us to a coin like MantraDAO, right? MantraDAO is going to be an incredibly highly used DAO and DEX functionality within the Polkadot ecosystem. Really cool project. But by the time I find out about MantraDAO, it was literally rocket here. Let me bring out the market cap, which I think that's what, by the way, if you guys aren't looking at market cap, that's the way you should always be looking at the market is by market cap. Don't care what a coin is priced at. I want to know what the market cap is. By the time this thing even hit CoinGecko, within minutes, it felt like it was over $50 million in market cap, right? And even after the crazy explosion that we've seen with Parsic, which we covered the other day, it never even came close to 50 million. I think it hit 40 million at its peak. And so for me, looking at a coin that's running this fast, this hard, yeah, I could have said, all right, it came down to 34 million, let me get in. But even from there, it's popped off again and it's done like 2x, right? Which is great. But by going in and finding a lesser known, lesser understood technology than MantraDAO that's maybe got less hype, that's like, for me, after it hits this 50 million thing, it would need to come down really hard for me to want to buy it again. And when something that goes up to 50 and comes down to the point where I'd want to buy it again, like 10 million, it's just hard to wrap my head around it, because then it's like, oh, it doesn't have staying power. People don't actually genuinely like it. They just chase to pump and dump. So it becomes a tricky thing once something has already mooned like this. And I think that for me, the best decision is just to wait. It's just to wait and just to find a better train that hasn't left the station yet. Because once you have in this market a coin that's unlaunched on a chain that's unlaunched in technology that's unproven, it's a little hard to justify hundreds of millions of dollars in value. And we're all looking for 10x's. I think that's my goal, right? Is to look for 10x's. Thank you. Integrity is what shows on this channel. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, obviously, as this channel has kind of exploded in growth, there has been haters, there has been negativity, and I'm doing my best to just ignore that. But I do, I've worked so hard over the last 3 years to build my reputation and to make every decision with a long-term viewpoint, a long-term understanding of my reputation and my position in this industry. And so, yeah, sometimes I blow a fuse and I get mad and I'll lash out at people who call me names or who make just baseless accusations. That's my choice, and maybe I'll get more mature about it. But in the end, I care a lot about my impact on the community, and I hope that it's a positive one. And so, yeah, that's how I'm going to go. I'm going to do my best to navigate this my own way and take my experience and just put it in front of you and hope it benefits you. DMST is an extremely low cap gem. Thank you for that, Troy Ghost. Thank you. So yeah, so you guys have been seeing where I'm going with this, right? We have Acropolis, right? Acropolis is an absolute amazing product here in the Polkadot ecosystem. And when it had this, first of all, I started covering this a while back here. I think I covered it when it was first about here, maybe at 12 cents. I think that was where I first got it. And then it popped and popped again. But then I saw it really taking a dive here. And so when you have a good project like Acropolis or like a Swipe, and you see that it really, really takes a dive here, when you see that, okay, this thing popped up to like 36 cents and then it came all the way down to like 24, that's lost now a significant amount of its value. And it's also hitting these firm bases of support that it made Well, now, especially mixed with some good positive fundamental news, like we knew Acro was looking at their full launch, I said right here in this dip at about 23 cents, I said, hey, I'm looking to, Acro is not a bad pickup right here. And it went from 23 cents all the way up to like back up to like 38 again. Again, even that is really great, but like I said, my whole focus is finding even smaller gems. So there's various ways to play the market, but understanding that all of these coins in the Polkadot ecosystem have that hype. So if there is a new chain, a new project within the Polkadot ecosystem that has hype, then that's kind of where you want to be setting yourself up for. And so I'll tell you what, I was going to save this one because it's not coming out for a while, but I tell you what, for you guys, if I see some likes, if I see these likes spike right now, I'll tell you about another Polkadot project that you probably don't know about that is coming down the pipe, and you guys will have some time to get ahead of it. So let's see these likes spike up a little bit, and I'll wait for it. I don't know what the right number is, but there's almost 1,500 of you guys. We only have 347 likes. Come on, guys. It's super easy. Turn that thumb blue, and I'll give you a little bit of a gem. You can't buy it right now, so don't have a heart attack. Don't have a heart attack. But it is going to be an interesting one coming to the ecosystem. And some of you smarty pantses already know where I'm going. Some of you don't. So let's spike those likes. Oh, 469. We're almost there. 507. All right, guys. Yeah, that made me happy. Like spike. All right, Rio DeFi. A lot of you guys already know where we're going with this. There was a pre-sale that just happened. I really want to get into this project. I'm probably making it a lot harder on myself by talking about it right now. But hey, this way you guys know this is going to make it more blown up and probably more hyped. And again, Mantra DAO is built on top of Rio Chain or Rio DeFi. So this is a really interesting project here. This is essentially the underlying infrastructure, the parachain that underlies the Mantra DAO, the token. And so if you guys are looking to get in, I don't think it hits the market for quite a while. I think it's at least a month out. But yep, this is a good one to look forward to, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this. I was going to try to, of course, cover this when it comes out in a little while. But yeah, you guys have been riding with me. 1,500 people in the house. Big love to all you guys. This is the most people I've ever had in a live stream. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. And I sincerely hope that the videos have been helping you guys. Rio Chain, definitely have this on your radar. This is going to go kaboom. And so from what I can tell, at least from what I can tell, right? Just not financial advice, just my analysis, just my opinion. This is part of the Polkadot ecosystem built on Substrate. Come on, Mantra DAO. I think you need token to buy it. So, yep. This is going to be big. I think so. This is going to be big. But again, this isn't a gem video, right? This is just, from what I can tell, this is fitting into the narrative, right? This is fitting into the larger narrative that is Polkadot, right? The hype is around Polkadot because everybody wants to get into the next hot thing that's already within the narratives. So we have the Oracle narrative. We have the yield farming narrative. We have the Polkadot scalability narrative, right? Which is the same as that layer 2 narrative. They're kind of the same. If anything, you could argue that Polkadot is like an external layer 2, right? Just like Ethereum is essentially like a layer 2 for Bitcoin right now because all of these wrapped Bitcoin through Ren are getting onto Ethereum. It's the same thing with Polkadot. Polkadot is to Ethereum as Ethereum is to Bitcoin, in my opinion. And I think, understanding the power of these narratives will help you get ahead. But yeah, let's see here. Checking back in on one of our babies, Chainx, again, part of the Polkadot ecosystem narrative. And again, the reason why I love it is it's because it's part of a bigger narrative even more, where you have interoperability from Bitcoin, wrapping Bitcoin to get it to be used in DeFi. And so you have the bridge narrative, the interoperability narrative, and the Polkadot narrative all in one with Chainx. And, people calling the channel bad names when I talked about things like Chainx. We talked about Chainx right here. It was $3 or something when we talked about Chainx. Boom, boom, boom. Doesn't stop. When you find good tech and you do your research and you take your time and you really try to find the things that are undervalued in the marketplace. And why did I think this is undervalued? Well, a good comparison for Chainx is Ren. And Ren, as you guys probably know, is much, much higher up on the market caps. And Ren is also going to be interoperable with Polkadot. So maybe that takes away a little bit of the fire from Chainx. But at $401 million market cap for Ren, with Chainx literally at just around a tenth, $60 million, a little more than 10% of the market cap, seems like there's a lot of room to grow there. And so that's why I personally like the Chainx project, not to mention Acropolis, which is another gem within this ecosystem. A lot of the early players in the Polkadot ecosystem seem to really love and favor Chainx in their implementation and look at them as sort of pioneers of the Polkadot ecosystem. So for that reason, I really, really liked Chainx. And again, I hope you guys are seeing the layers in which I'm analyzing this, right? You first start with, okay, is there an altcoin season? If there's no altcoin season, then stop. Right? Because you're not going to get any returns. But once you get past altcoin season and you know that you're bulling, you want to find narratives. You don't want to create the narratives because, unfortunately, people in crypto are not as creative as you'd like them to be. They don't always welcome new things, but once it ticks the boxes, the speculation can go wild. And Chainx ticks all the boxes for me, right? It's a great project, great tech, and it's in multiple narratives. In the Venn diagram, it's in the bridge narrative, it's in the interoperability narrative, it's in the Polkadot narrative, and it's in the DeFi narrative, right? So these are all huge narratives. And yeah, that became Ren. And then, so yeah, another project, Katon, Darwinia Commitment Token, right? This is I believe this is the reward token for Ring, part of the Polkadot narrative. This thing's been absolutely zooming. Absolutely zooming. And again, the reason why I haven't talked about it is because it's just because it was moving a little too fast. Again, just my own personal approach, right? I've been aware of these, but just know that these particular coins are going to continue going crazy, right? These Polkadot coins, we know it. Even Kalupu, which is probably my least favorite of the Polkadot coins, has been going absolutely crazy, right? And it's done, I think, a 10x from when I first found out about it. And the thing about it is, I'm not fully sold on this one, right? I had so many people try to red pill me on this, and even people from the project, and I guess I'll see. I'll wait and see, right? I guess it's just everything that has Polkadot on it is going to the moon. So just understand that the narratives are really powerful, because I don't necessarily love the Kalupu project, but it's going absolutely crazy. Some people I really respect really love the project, so bless them and congrats to them, right? But I think it's more proof of that the narrative is just ridiculously strong around Polkadot. So anything in this Polkadot world is just going through the moon, not even to the moon, but through it, right? And so, more projects are getting built and added to the Polkadot ecosystem all the time. And so if you want to just do yourself a favor, find out what's coming to the Polkadot ecosystem. Get there early. Find out what the next coin is to enter the ecosystem. Don't chase after something that's up 10 million%. Find out what's next and try to get there early. Try to put in that footwork, right? God, the chats are rolling in. Let me try to get to some. Gosh. All right. I think I got to all the super chats. Yeah, Kusama is great. Darwinia is great. All these Polkadot projects are going to do really well, right? OXT, yeah, Orchid. Yeah, that's great. Orchid was on my 10 coins to 10 million list, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And then, yes, so we already talked about that. And then finally, I wanted to talk about this project because this is exemplary of another type of narrative, which I hate these narratives. Don't do anything crazy right now. Everyone just have a chill before I explain this. So I'm talking to some really interesting folks, some people over at Consensus, who, by the way, Consensus, they just acquired JP Morgan's banking intrabank thing. Smart folks over there at Consensus, Ethereum powerhouse. And they're building this thing called Meme. And, it is a meme coin, right? It is a meme coin. There's only 28,000 of them. And don't be crazy, guys. I'm not saying to go get this right now. Just please, everyone, just take a second. But what they're doing here is they're actually allowing you to stake their coins, their meme coins. And once you stake them, you're getting these yields, which are pineapples, right? And so these pineapples you're getting as yields from staking your meme. And then you can get these essential, this is like a CryptoKitties thing. So it's like CryptoKitties mixed with yield farming. And I just, this is something that I think is interesting because it fits into various narratives as well. Meme coins are unfortunately a narrative. I think that Yams was like a meme, and we see other memes like, there's a bunch of meme coins that have hit recently, Cow or whatever. The original meme coin, of course, being Doge, which became a very legit project. But there is something under this meme coin that is interesting, which is farming NFTs. Now, in reality, I don't see anything that makes these NFTs valuable yet. They are kind of cool pieces of art. But is this going to be worth real money? This picture, this drawing of Vitalik holding a pineapple? I mean, anyone who knows me knows that I'm the pineapple man. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, the value of these NFTs, I think that's what would tie something like this together, is that you're looking at something really interesting like farming NFTs, which has never been done before this project, something that we're going to be looking into doing for our own project. And the only thing here is what gives this thing value, what gives this a visual value besides its scarcity, because I could screenshot this, right? And I could have the image, but I think that that's something that we'll see over time is, are people going to value these NFTs, or is it just some kind of, joke? Is it just a meme? And does the meme in itself hold value? That'll be up for the market to decide, right? Anyway, so I thought I would show these to you guys because this is another narrative, right? Which is meme coins and farming. And now we're going to see the rise, I think, of NFTs, which NFTs are going to be a huge, huge narrative. They just haven't taken off yet because the reality is that they don't have intrinsic value yet. A lot of these NFTs are still, they're only valued because they're rare. And then usually over time, the collectibles tend to simmer out. A lot of them died, right? So I really hope you guys see what I'm doing here. I'm not telling you to go buy meme coin, certainly not, even though obviously, clearly you can see I staked a couple here just to see, just out of solidarity, because he's, I wanted to see where that thing goes. But please don't, think that I'm endorsing this. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to explain that there's a narrative here around meme coins that they're clearly playing into. Their website is called Don't Buy Meme, which I think is obviously playing into the whole meminess. Do I think Swap's short-term pump is over? Next pump. Okay, so Swap. I love Swap. Swap is a phenomenal project, and they're going to do some great things. However, it's so early for Swap. It's so early for Swap, guys. They haven't even built out their full, robust technology. They haven't finished the smart contract stuff that I want them to finish yet, the stuff that I'm most excited about, which is like the smart ICO stuff. They're going to... look at this, right? They started at 0.0. They started at half of a penny. Was it half a penny or something like that? They started at something like half a penny, and they went up to about $1.60. So what is that? A 320x? A 320x? Come on, guys. Like, anything that 320x is needs to have a chill. And I said that when I did my video on Swap, that there was going to be a big, a consolidation retracement. Now, where Swap really becomes valuable is when it becomes the decentralized launchpad that competes with Binance. When Swap starts competing with Binance and starts taking the IEO functionality and decentralizing it, and then they start getting high quality projects to go through them, that's when Swap starts to justify, I think, very high market cap values, where it could start pumping again from there. But right now, you guys have to understand, as much as I believe in Swap long term, I think it's, you got to wait for this puppy to settle down. This thing pulled a 320x, guys. That's just madness. That's just madness. So guys, do I love Swap? Yeah, I love Swap. I really like Jeff. I love the vision, and the tech is still on its way. It's still coming. So the price right now is just bull market euphoria, and we need to wait for this thing to get some feet under it, and then I think it can make another move up, but it needs to sort of have the reality catch up to the narrative right now. And again, you're seeing narratives being more powerful than reality. Alrighty. Why don't we fire off some question, guys? I'll do some question and answer for the last couple of minutes, and then I gotta go get a haircut because my hair is grown and thick. Alrighty. Let's buy meme stuff. Alrighty, Ken. So I wasn't big on Ken. I mean, it's interesting, but it was just, I saw some FUD about it from people I trust, and it was enough to make me stay away until I got some deeper answers. I swapped VeChain for DOT. Now that's not bad, right? If you have a coin that's not moving or that's been there, doesn't show any signs of exploding soon, that's one thing to put it into something like a DOT. But just don't be surprised if something like a DOT has a strong correction, because typically they do. Even look at Chainlink, which is the invincible coin, had a big sell-off up at $17. It's hard to predict when and where, right? Opinion on Tomo Chain, Rewind, I talked about it. YFE. Thoughts on Unitrade? I like Unitrade. I liked it when it was smaller. Let's see how big of an actual user base they build out when they launch their app, and let's see how big it can get. Let's see how big the actual utility is. The other risk with Unitrade is, and these other sort of little add-ons to Uniswap, is that the reality is that we just don't know. We don't know how much they're going to get used, right? And we also don't know whether Uniswap is going to add the functionality. If Uniswap adds the functionality, then it kind of wipes everybody out. We don't need to go to a second, layer sort of thing here, and we can just use Uniswap's advanced mode or whatever. Elio, do you have a time frame for when co-vesting will go live? Co-vesting, I believe, is live. I'm not sure which co-vesting you're talking about. Your portfolio list, please. So yeah, I've been trying to figure out a way to present the portfolio to you in a way that is not misleading, right? It's kind of hard for me because what people want is a newbie portfolio. They want to know how you would buy crypto today, not how I have it. And how I have it isn't necessarily, if I was starting today building a portfolio, how I would do it, if that makes sense. I also I'm a professional in the crypto space, so I have sources of income in crypto, and so I'm able to spread my crypto around a little differently than a lot of you guys. And so it's easy for me to put up what my portfolio is, but the reality is that's not necessarily the best advice for you guys. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to do a portfolio video that actually benefits you guys and doesn't necessarily give you I want all my content to make you guys better, to make you stronger, to make you smarter. And so I'm trying to figure out how to show my portfolio fully and still have it be something where you guys are able to size up your positions right and contextualize it. I hope that makes sense. But obviously, whenever I hold coins or whenever I have any kind of relationship with a project, I make that very clear. Your thought Swap did a 320x. Yeah, Swap is, somebody said Ivan was irresponsibly pumping Swap. I don't think it was irresponsible, right? We talk about coins we like. That Swap pump is like, whoa, that's just an outlier, right? And so I don't think it's anyone's fault, right? I don't think that's fair to say that someone's fault or to demonize people because something it got pumped up. I don't think that's right. Luxo, Lyxe. So Luxo is a lifestyle app, I think. Yep, the lifestyle one. Luxo, yeah. So this was the one. I almost did a video on this. I was looking at it. It's interesting, right? They have a strong team. They're part of the narrative. Are they on Polka? I forgot if they're part of the Polkadot ecosystem. But yeah, they have just this amazingly gorgeous, almost like high fashion website. Makes sense because they're like a fashion project. But it feels like the vast value of this coin is being based on their team. And they have this guy, Fabian Voglesteller, sorry about that. This guy, Fabian, who's the creator of the ERC20 standard. And then they have a bunch of people from like Instagram and Chanel and Burberry and Highsnobiety, lots of fashion snobs, essentially. And so they're creating like a lifestyle platform website. Here's the thing for me. I'm just not sold. I'm not sold on the need for blockchain and high fashion, and that I'm not sold that these people will completely command the ecosystem. I'm not sure, right? This thing could pop big, but it seems like a little bit of a stretch, high fashion. I'm much more interested in the things that are not kind of combining two completely separate worlds. Like, that's why I'm not so bullish yet on the robotics stuff like XRT. And, I purposefully didn't do a video on Robonomics, even though it's an interesting project and it's a very interesting business they have set up. When this thing was 3 million, I avoided it. I think Chico did the video on it. Yeah, I know this thing has a lot of connections to Polkadot. I know this thing has a very interesting team, and it kind of reminds me of Luxo in a way where it's like there's good foundations, but is this ready? Is this going to happen this year or next year where I could see this stuff being highly, highly used? And so that's sort of another lens is crypto, it operates on micro time frames, months are years, years are decades. And so for me, when I'm looking at a project like Robonomics, which could take another, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years before it's really actually in full bloom, it just feels a little soon for me. And that's just how, again, if you guys have noticed a trend, I have a really rigorous filter. And so it's really easy to say, oh, this looks good, throw money at it. And right now the market's kind of working like that. But I think the reason why you're seeing a lot of the coins that I talk about continue to build steam is that I'm focusing on things that are not only needed here in crypto today, can serve a great purpose and use case today, but are also not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And I'm not saying that that's what Robonomics or Luxo are trying to do. It just feels a little bit more like they're combining different worlds here with the high fashion world and the robotics world. These things could easily be the way the world works in about 2-3 years, 4 years. It just seems a little further out for me. And so I'm focusing on more projects that have extreme possibility of being widely adopted throughout crypto in the near-term future. What are your thoughts on your girlfriend's backside that one time? Wow, that is so rude, but you gave me $5. So I'll tell you, my thoughts are highly positive. Hey, can you take a look at Insights Network Instar? I will try to do that, not right now, but I appreciate the super chat. What about SRM? Serum? Is that Serum? Yeah, I need to dive a little deeper into that. Super hyped last time I checked. I'll be doing a social media roundup video where I talk about all the different platforms spanning from Uptrend to SoMe to Hyper to Vid, trying to give you guys my breakdown on what I see with the crypto social space. I think I have a pretty good vantage point. I used to run a live streaming platform with my business partners, so I understand a lot of the challenges there, building and maintaining user base. You don't need a haircut. Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. Final thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. What are you thinking? Favorite Polkadot project? Ooh, that's pretty hard to do. It's pretty hard to say. I think my favorite... What did I write on it? I wrote FUD TV. All right, yeah. I wrote FUD TV. That was the old name of my channel. Favorite Polkadot project? I'll think about that. I'll come up with an answer for that. Very nice content. Thanks. What do you think about Libera? Yes, this was a BitBoy coin. Libera. It is it yield farming? Non-custodial cross-chain trading. Yeah, interesting. Interesting stuff. See how they grow. Is it live yet? Probably not. Okay, so it's part of Polkadot. Yeah, interesting stuff. I'll have to check it out more. Interesting. Part of the narrative, part of the Polkadot narrative, hitting a lot of buzzwords. In a market like this, something like that could definitely pump. Question is whether old Ben already sent it skywards. Yeah, it looks like it got a nice pump the other day. All right. KLV, new baby coin on TronSwap with huge potential. Definitely actually know the Clever team. Nice guys. Really nice guys. Yeah, Libera has no GitHub, apparently, according to somebody. I don't know. Haven't confirmed that, so that might be FUD, but it might be true. Oh, also, final thought before I leave you guys. GitHub commits are not exactly biblical, right? This isn't the end-all be-all. For example, in my own project, when we do commits, sometimes I'll push a commit that's just one animation file because my developer needs it, right? And so that commit is by no means a meaningful step forward. In fact, some development teams actually make far less commits because they make more meaningful commits. It's not necessarily a fact that more commits means the project is better. So just remember that those kinds of commits and just sort of counting the quantity of GitHub commits. I see that a lot of the time. If you go to like some of these websites, they'll show their quantity of GitHub commits. And that to me is not something you should be taking too much to heart. If you're actually a coder, you actually understand how to read code and how to audit code, then take a look at the code itself, but do not just say, oh, they have commits, so it's good. Or they don't have commits, so it's bad. CatX is up 30% after the BitBoy video. It's going to be up 1,000% tomorrow. Okay, cool. All right. yes, guys, I'll be making some big announcements about my project. Don't you worry about that. Getting some ducks in a line. And it's definitely my main focus is the project. And so if you think I work hard on the content, I'm excited to show you what we've been building. We think we have unlocked the next phase for the blockchain ecosystem, which is, of course, as you guys know, mainstream users is what it's all about. We need to add mainstream users. We need to open our ecosystem to more and more people. This is about an open financial system. And never forget that the value of a network like Bitcoin is valued by the amount of its users. Kind of like Facebook had exponentially growing network, we need to have that same kind of growth happen in crypto land. That's the real key to the next phase of, pumping your bags, if you will. So that's what I want to leave you guys with is we need to think together, not just on how to make quick gains. Obviously, I hope this video has been, instructional and helpful and how I'm seeing these different key narratives and how I'm looking for gems within those narratives. As I'm seeing some comments, it looks like you guys are very much starting to get attuned to the narratives that I'm talking about. So I'm very excited to see a more educated, smarter community. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job at helping educate you guys. And what I want to leave you with is that we really need to be thinking about those not inside crypto, because I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow, which I think you guys will enjoy. It's another macro video, but it's all about understanding that if you've ever wanted to be the 1%, understand that the world is heading towards a crypto native reality and that you are here. You are part of the 1% of the world that is here. At max, there's 1% of the world here. And so you should be very excited to know that this is a wealth transfer, that if you own part of these protocols, you will be those early people. You will be part of a wealth transfer. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be very rocky. It's going to be very volatile. But this is, to me, the big wealth transfer is moving to a crypto native economy, moving the legacy financial system into being trusted by math, putting your trust into math and code instead of corruptible human systems. And so as I start talking about crypto ecosystems, as I start talking about crypto products, you'll hear me value a lot the things that appeal to no-coiners, as they say, or pre-coiners, as I like to refer to them, the people who are yet to acquire cryptocurrencies. And that's part of the reason why I liked PRQ a lot, is that for non-crypto, non-blockchain developers, they simplify a lot of things. And I'm really interested in projects that can bring in developers that are not blockchain developers and bring in essentially the next wave of products that attracts an entirely new generation to cryptocurrency and blockchain, because I believe that that will bring essentially, economic freedom to the people that are here in this industry and more economic freedom to the world as a whole. So I hope you guys are enjoying your day. I hope you guys are having a very happy hump day. From here in Los Angeles, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you guys are having a great time. If you guys are not already following me on Twitter, please give me a follow. If you guys want to join my Telegram, connect with me and chat with me on a more personal level, I encourage you guys to check it out, t.me/LeoTradesCrypto. The links for those are going to be in the description. They're not in the description right now because I didn't want to make a description because everyone's going crazy and buying coins too fast. But at any rate, I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. I thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.